Hi everybody, thanks for joining Create with Dee. I've just finished up my Burlap and Bloom Simply Created Wreath Kit that's new in the 2014 Occasions catalog, celebrating the everyday. Oh, this is so pretty, you guys, and it really was fairly easy to put together. It wasn't difficult. It might look like it, but it's not. But I'm going to share with you some tips and tricks on what I found was helpful, and maybe you'll find it helpful too when you make your kit. So let's get started with just the tips and tricks. The Simply Created Burlap and Blooms kit comes in a package that looks like this, and let's open it up and we'll see what all of the components are. So when I've taken the cellophane off of it. On the back side of it is instructions in a couple of different languages. This is these are the different language instructions here. They're just an overview, not a quite step-by-step, and so that's why I wanted to make the video for you guys. But this is what all comes in it, and this is what the finished product is. And I tried to stay on this one pretty close to the diagram, and I'll tell you a little bit where I think what I could do differently if you wanted to replicate this exactly. So you get all of these goodies in with it. So the first thing I did is punch out all of the little, just all of the little components for what we're going to do. The circles, all of the circles will make these flowers. You're going to make a large one and 3 little ones. And so you have a large yellow, with obviously the large yellow, and then 3 of the smaller colors in the Calypso yellow and the blue. Again, just punch everything out, and then you also get the actual wreath form. So go ahead and pause this video if you have your kit and get everything punched out. Okay, so we've got our items kind of unpacked and punched out. And what I like to do is I like to go ahead and get started on the wreath itself first. You get this little extra piece of burlap. This is going to be for the hanger for your wreath. And then you get this nice big spool of, of burlap. So what I found worked well for me is, you want to definitely keep it on the spool. And you need to, I forgot to tell you, make sure you get your hot glue gun plugged in. And I went through about maybe 6 sticks of hot glue, so make sure you got plenty of hot glue on hand. So let's take this to the hot glue area. For the wreath, there's really no front and back. It's whatever side that you want to start on. But what I did is I took my hot glue and made like a stripe, I guess, or just a nice straight line of hot glue. And I'm going to start this will be the back side of my burlap or my wreath. And then what I found worked for me, how I liked the direction of and you'll feed the spool through each time, okay? So what I like to do, and here's my tip, pull it taut, and then when you're wrapping it around, see if I can do this without it getting blurry. There's a seam binding here on the side of the burlap to keep it from fraying. What I did is I lined the burlap, or kind of like the edge to the edge, and then overlapped it just a little bit and then brought it down. And what you'll want to do is kind of keep turning it so that when you bring this down, this is always, it's always up and down this way to you. And so this will be wider at the top, and there'll be, a smaller, there'll be less overlap at the top and more overlap at the bottom of your circle wreath. So again, I'm going to bring this up, and I'm only going to hot glue twice, guys. I'm going to hot glue at the first one and at the end. And then again, I'm going to overlap. I'm going to turn it a little bit so that it's, straight at 12 o'clock at me. Overlap the binds straight down. Feed it through. Come up. Again, I'm just pulling tight as I'm going. Overlap the edges straight down and through. And I'm going to do that over and over and over again. let's go back and look at the original one. So again, here's my finished one, and as you can see the pattern, you know, again, it overlaps straight down. So no matter which way that you look at this, you know, it all looks the same, meaning that, you know, all of the burlap is going in the same direction. And as long as you don't hot glue it, besides the first one, if you don't like the pattern, just undo it and do it again. But again, what I found is if you just slightly overlap the top binding here and then come straight down and keep turning it as you go, it's going to have a uniform look. And then when you're all done, when this is how you just, you know, you'll have lots of extra, so you're going to have plenty. So don't worry about being, what do I want to say? You'll have plenty of burlap left over. And you just cut it off and hot glue where the ends are. Okay, so that's the tip on putting the burlap together. Now let's make one of each of the flowers. So we're going to be making the big yellow flower together. You get one big flower and 3 small ones that use the same thing with the circles. And when I did mine's a little looser than what the picture shows. So my wreath kind of takes up more area. So this is something that if I'm going to show you one that's more condensed or, you know, not so relaxed. This one that we're going to make together is a little tighter. That way you can see the 2 different versions of it. So with your circles, this again is the large circles, but no matter whether you're again making the small or the big circles, they're all going to be the same. And what you're going to do is, of course, you know, if you don't already have it, the silicone craft mat is awesome. What I'm going to do, all of them are pre-slit, and you're going to put some hot glue over on the side, and you're going to turn and bring that petal inward. Can you see that kind of makes like a little hat of some sort, a little cone top? Okay, so we're going to do that, and some of them, like I brought that one in kind of medium. If you want a really tight flower where the petals are closer together, just bring your slit in more. Can you see how I'm really pulling that in? So that's kind of the difference. Here's one that's going to be like maybe one of the inside petals, and here's one with the outside. And what the instructions say is to start with 3 petals for your inside. So I'm going to make 3 of these super, super tight, like almost as tight as I can. And they're going to be my inside petals. The great thing with this kit is that it gives us lots of ideas on how we can then make this on our own. I like that idea. Okay, so here's 3 petals done. And this is where the craft mat comes in great because the hot glue will peel right off of it. Put a dollop of hot glue, and I like using where the seams come in. The seams are always going to be on the inside of our petals. That way, you know, it's kind of hidden a little bit. And let's see, I put a little bit here and a little bit on the back side. And I'm going to make like a little 3-point kind of a triangle. And put a little more hot glue here. Keep turning it so you guys can see it. And putting it down. If you want, you know, grab a skewer or something so that you can work with the hot glue and not get burned. And, okay, so that's our base of it. And so while that's kind of cooling for just a little bit on the craft mat, continue with making your blooms, your little petals. So this is the bloom part of the burlap and blooms. The burlap didn't take long at all. Is burlap not the trendiest thing going right now in design? Thanks Stampin' for keeping us trendy. We love that about you. Okay, be back after all of my petals are made. Okay, so by the time you get the rest of them done, you saw how that just peeled right off of my silicone craft mat. Love it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the petals and I'm going to just hot glue them in between the other petals. So I'm going to take my hot glue, a little dollop on the petal being added, kind of go in between the others. Now this is where if you want it tighter, which I'm going to try to do on this one, you want to bring them closer. If you want it more relaxed, glue it so that it's more open. But I'm going to do my best to do this one tighter so that it's a more compact flower. What's right or wrong? Neither. It's your creation. You do it however you like. Just whatever you want it to look like. And really, you guys, don't worry if it's not exactly like the picture. Mine so is not. But it's part of the creation thing. It's just to get us started. And then just like flowers in nature, everyone's a little different. And I probably couldn't duplicate this exactly if I wanted to. Now I kind of challenge anybody. So just have fun with it. Okay, so you can see that the petals are building and building. Too bad that hot glue, you couldn't get the hot glue on it ahead of time and get it ready to go. Meaning that, you know, that way you wouldn't have to watch me put a little dollop of glue on all of these. But I do want you to see one complete petal or one complete flower. And it's not going to be uniform, you know, so again, it's like it looks like I need another one here. I'm going to try to keep it tight. And the flowers are going to look awesome no matter how they, I guess how they end up. Let's see here. I'm going to start over here. Meaning that it's not going to be perfectly symmetrical. At least if you got yours that way, good for you. Mine did not. On my 4 that I did on the first one, the one large one and 2 small ones, you know, they just weren't. You know, they just kind of build up. And so it's not going to be like a perfect symmetrical thing like if you're thinking of a punch. So just kind of keep bringing it in. Make sure that you're putting the seam on the inside. Look how pretty that's getting to be. This one's much tighter and more compact than my other one. So yay! Mission accomplished. Okay, so that's my large flower here. As you notice, there is a center to it, and there are, let's see here if I've got it in reach. Oh, phooey. Oh, here we go. So these gray circles here are for the inside of our flowers, and so correspondingly there's 1 large and 3 little, so we're using the large one for the large blossom. And what I want to do is, for me, I like putting, and each one has a button, and I like going ahead and putting the button on first. Get my stringy glue out of the road, and I'll get my paper snips and we'll kind of dress this up a little bit. So the reason why I wanted to put the button on first is it shows me where to stop when I cut my slits on here. I'm not sure that the instructions say to do this, but if you look at the pictures, that's what they did. They kind of snipped inward on the center part of it and gave the flower center a little dimension. Why I like to put the button on first is it gives me a stopping point so I don't inadvertently cut through the circle. So I'm going to kind of fluff that up a little bit with my fingers. And now, put it back on the silicone craft mat. Big dollop hot glue in the center. And we'll put, so pretty! Oh my gosh, how cute is that? So there's the 2 different, see this one's much smaller. And, that's going to be one of our major flower pieces. Do that with the other circles and you'll be all set with those 4, the 1 big and 2 small of the circle flowers. Next up are these little kind of like pom-pom looking flowers, and they're made using these strips of, I guess pattern paper and everything. And what mine ended up looking like is this. You're going to be making 2 of each color, one that's a single and one that's a double, and we'll go through that here real quick right now. Okay, so what we want it to do is end up looking like this to start with. And so you have your piece of paper that comes into your kit, And we want to peel off the back side first. Each side comes with double-sided tape. You just peel that off. Get that little string here. And we want to put the back sides together so that the pattern is facing on the outside. That's very important. And so I just kind of start matching up the ends and kind of lightly pinching it so that it adheres a little bit. And if it doesn't line up perfectly, don't stress out because we're going to roll it, and you won't see that if you don't have it perfectly. Like right here, there's a little bit of line. Not worried about that at all. It's going to get covered up. Okay, so then we have the back side, or we have the other side that has the adhesive on it. And let's see, get that removed. So these strips just peel off. And now what we're going to do is we're going to roll this inward. I'm going to roll it along the side that has the adhesive, leaving this top part fluffy. And I'm just going to roll it. So it's going to make some crinkles and noises. I'm just going to keep rolling it so that those ends, like the straight edge side, stays together. And roll, roll, roll. Now you do want to have your hot glue gun handy because not like there's this little bit here that does not have adhesive on it. And so I'm just going to put a little dollop of glue and finish. So this is what the single one looks like. Again, you're going to make 2 of each color. This would be a single one. And then you can just fluff it out, you know, how you'd like. And let's see. This is how that looks once it's all fluffed out. But we're going to make us a double one. And what we're going to do is do the same thing. You know, we're going to go ahead and close it. Take the adhesive off. And what we're going to do to make a double is just continue on with our rolling. So let's see here. If you want to, you can get it lined up with where this is at, which I think I'm going to do. So I'm just going to start it here, put it back down, and continue with rolling. And you guys, we can make these same things with fringe scissors. So stay tuned on my YouTube channel. And this week I'm going to be showing how we can make as many of these type of flowers as we want. Love it. Okay, so again, here's the end. I'm going to put just a little bit of glue just to keep that end nice and in place. And now it's just a matter of fluffing. Don't be worried, you're not going to hurt it. Come out to the edges, pull it down as much as you like, you know, to make the pom-pom really get full. If you like a more compact one, obviously you don't have to fluff as much. And you just kind of keep going and separating them until you get the desired fluff. And on mine, some of mine, I actually like to open them just a little bit. But that's my personal preference, and you certainly don't have to do that. Okay, so we have just one more flower to show how to make. The last flower, and I saved the easiest for last, is these little guys here, kind of some little filler flowers, and they look like this when you get them punched out. Whoops, I need one more level or layer here. Let me go and, oh, there it is, turned upside down. And you get those 3, and in your little packet you do get a little silver mini brad. And what I like to do is take my bone folder and kind of curl them inward, so I turn them upside down, and just give them a little bit of dimension. The other flowers, you know, have such 3D look. I like to give these just a little bit too. If you like yours flat, that's fine. You know, it's your wreath. You do what you'd like. Okay, so now they've got a little bit of depth to them, and I'm going to take my my craft mat, my foam mat here, layer it with my paper piercer and poke a hole, grab my brad, and simply insert the brad. I have hot glue strings all over my hands. Oh my goodness, I did not center that very good. But that's okay, because, you know, it's just gonna, you know, kind of be a filler. But what I like to do is, let me turn this a little bit, is I like to take the layers and kind of bring them inward towards the brad. Just kind of squish them just a little bit. So now it really doesn't matter that my brad's off center. And there we go. So now I have a little filler piece. So what I did then to assemble it is I just used this, the picture, as a guide. And I started by placing my large flowers down first and then coming in with the filler flowers. Oh, I forgot one more thing to show you is, and I'm not going to do this here on camera, but you also get this nice little layering piece here. You would layer up the flowers and then hot glue those together. And then the silver flower, that double pom-pom, goes on top of it. Can you see that? Okay. All right, well, have a great time making your wreath. I know I certainly did, and I'm looking forward to doing the class in person with my local gals. But hopefully this gives you a little tips and tricks and a starting point on making the flowers for your wreath. Happy crafting, everybody. Bye-bye.